And welcome back to the Spring Series. EGL and Europa Halo, of course, brought this doubles format to you over the last few weeks. Finals is, of course, next week as well. We've got late bloomers up against Squadrenaline. It's going to be Here's to Now and Jesus up against Maratones and Permissions. This is going to be a tasty one, Jim.
Yeah, and like I said previously, here's to now with a different teammate. Undertones are not able to play, and then permissions and marathons actually. I feel like they're kind of two players that are a bit under the radar in a way. They obviously they're currently either the eighth or the ninth seed right now, so they've performed well. So I think this actually gonna be a really close series, considering there's a change in roster, and then marathons and permission have been playing together for the last 2 weeks as well. So there's a bit more of a teamwork kind of chemistry with them. So this should be a really good series.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this, no doubt. We have the we have Regret, Truth, and the Rig as our game types. Who do you think this favors going into it with the first map being Regret?
Um, Again, it's more so the team that's gonna get the overshield. Now I know a bit more about his to now, compared to the other three players in the lobby, and his to now I definitely know someone that can play this game to a very high level. So I expect him to be on top of power ups and expect him to be pressuring spawns very quickly. I feel like it does favor his to now and EU Jesus just based on their experience right there. But again, Maritones and permissions are this kind of. I feel like they are kind of like these underdogs that are just not really looked at too much. So like yeah, it's gonna be close, but I think I would favor towards his to now and EU Jesus.
Yeah, and as the race for top 8 starts to heat up, Jim, something we can talk about is Tier 3. They're on 380 points. That's, of course, the two French players. Dave's adopted son, who had such a great run out last week, they're on 340 points. And Demonica, they're on 320 points. So it's all within touching distance, and either one can leapfrog with a good result here today.
Yeah, definitely. So they need to really turn up for this whole tournament. Make sure they get the maximum amount of points they possibly can going into the final tournament. Somewhere. I'm going to assume now I could be wrong here, but I'm going to assume that the points are going to go towards the seedings for the finals tournament, which obviously means everything because a lot of teams are going to want to avoid the basically playing cartel. The number one team so far going into the finals. But let's see who can grab this overshield right off the start.
Overshield is going to be the first point of contact down bottom middle as Maratone throws a pre-nade. Doesn't find a home though, but does lock that overshield into his chest as EU Jesus does fall by the wayside. And now that's a big trade from him. That could have gotten out of hand very quickly and that could have started already a snowball effect. But overshield down to half. But here's to now done a good job. It's probably the best he could possibly do in that situation.
Oh yeah, walked away from a kill when he really shouldn't have in a 1v2 situation, and an opponent had overshield. But I like Maratone's nade off the start. It's a really, really good nade. It bounces it straight into the path and kind of restricts the player that goes to the car side for the overshield. And had a free run towards the overshield. And overshield is out at the moment, but in a 2-for-1 lead, he's had to drop down low. He needs to get back up top and try and get some more map presence. But his teammates down low as well, so it might actually work out in their favor.
Both members of Squadrenaline did find themselves down low and now being collapsed on. Here to now takes down Maratones and EU Jesus takes down Permission. And just like that, after such an impressive and good start, they're down by a kill, Jim.
Yeah, and this is what I like to see from EU Jesus here, like being aggressive on the spawn. He was aggressive at first, and he kind of like looked towards the correct spawn, but then he wasn't aggressive. He kind of played it slow. So now you can see there's a split spawn currently going on, and it just looks like they're not really focusing on one specific player right here. They're kind of just stood still top mid. They need to be aggressive. They should have pushed that first spawner and isolated him into a 2v1, but they just played it passive. He's stood up top mid, and yes, he's in a good position, but he's not really doing much. He's a couple shots on a player right there on car 2, and he's not really doing it. I need to see a lot more aggression from him.
Level on kills the moment. Both teams shooting at each other, but no kills came through. When Permission does finally get taken down, and Jesus in a 1v1 against Maratones, he wins and comes out on top there and extends that lead to now with now 2 kills. And Jim, this next overshield could start to tip the balance in either team's favor.
Yeah, and obviously it's a second overshield, so kind of both teams know when it's up because off the start everyone can test for it. So everyone should be down there, everyone should be prepared for it, and it's a good first kill right there for EU Jesus. And I'd like to see him either be aggressive on this player on car or go straight down for this overshield. Like I don't like this whole waiting inside the needles and kind of playing it slow because Maratone should not be able to burn that right there. Like they had the kills, they had the map control. Maratone's just got a good burn, although he did die for it. But I feel like EU Jesus and his now and Late Bloomers really should have grabbed that overshield.
Yeah, these small little errors can start to pay dividends when you're going to be towards the end of the game, as Jesus didn't manage to get that clean up. Lovely pre-grenade thrown towards that doorway And EU Jesus obliges and jumps on top of that grenade, almost Captain America-esque. But unfortunately for him, no teammates to try and keep alive and stay down bottom middle. We do see Permission clamber now towards Carget within touching distance of his teammate. Now we're going to see that buddy system employed. They're going to try and stick together and wipe anybody that they come in contact with. Tac Mag in the hands of Permission as well to boot, so he now has that extended sightlines if they do decide to fight from Pete to Car. But unfortunately for them, he does fall, and now they're losing by or winning the game by 3 kills. But I like this bit of a comeback from late bloomers.
Yeah, definitely. You know, 3-kill lead is definitely good. It seems like both teams just really don't know where they want to go. You know, you had Maritones and Permissions, both car 2, bit of a lag spike there from on my end. They were both car 2, and they kind of didn't really know where to go. And then Maritones fell down, Permissions then dies in a 1v2. It seems like, and even now with late bloomers, they don't really seem like they have much like of an idea of where they want to go. It seems like Histon now is playing it a bit more aggressive, which I like to see, and pushing them on the spawn. But it just seems like they kind of all like stood still, waiting for something to happen instead of actually taking the initiative and you know, starting something themselves. But now they're trying to get into a groove. Now they seem like they're getting a bit more aggressive, and I want to see them keep this up.
Yeah, it seems as though both teams really knowing the significance of these games and playing a little bit passive, a little bit hesitant, a little bit reactionary. But when you have both teams playing reactionary, there's nobody really starting to make moves, starting to make waves, and we are going to see another overshield very shortly, and that could be the big one. We're always talking about the 8-minute overshield, which Here's and Now does secure. That's his and their team's first overshield of the game, with some lovely shots sent over towards Permission, and that only extends the lead now to 7 kills. And this is a great game so far by the boys on late bloomers.
Yeah, definitely isolating a lot of these kills when they do get the opportunities, and I'm glad to see them getting that overshield. I really think Histon now again shouldn't have even got that overshield. It kind of like flipped over from the previous overshield, whereas you know, he was the only player on the map on his team, and he still manages to walk over an overshield, gets a kill, actually gets 2 kills off of it. So it was a really good play by Histon now, and I like the aggression right here. Keep him pushing. They know that he's trapped down car 1. They know that he's trapped in this kind of area, and you know, they're trying to isolate him out before his teammate gets on spawn. But again, it just seems like it's a rinse and repeat. They know where the player is, and they kind of walk towards it, but then they don't push out the player. They don't actually go and find the player. Great shots from Histon now, and that'll be huge if he gets this double kill. Only 1 bullet left in his pistol. I'd like to see him go to one of these bodies and grab that ammo. It looks like he's just going to commit to the tac mag because the pistol most likely despawns. No, it actually didn't. Halo 5 it has a mind of its own when that pistol, and you know, sometimes it despawns after 5 seconds, sometimes it stays there for 20 seconds. But let's see what they can do next.
Jim, let's talk about that from a Squadrenaline. It looked as though they had got top middle control. They had a 2v1 then against Here's and Now, and Here's and Now has managed to get both kills. He's killed both men, he's isolated them and kept his angles, so he almost eliminated the chance of being 2v1. Comes out with a double kill, so really they should have cut the gap and half the deficit almost, and now they find themselves down by 10 kills. These are huge errors.
Yeah, and this goes to credit to Histon now, and like I said before this series, Histon now's a you know, experienced player within Halo 5. He's been playing a lot, you know, for the last couple of years, and it goes to the experience where he knows his map positioning. Exactly like you said, he positions himself so he can only take a 1v1. And he makes both opponents actually one-shot and doesn't ever fight it with a hard target medal right now. That shows, I believe, that he's lost his shields 10 times and gained it back. And a huge double kill and the overshield coming up. I'd like to see him wait before they grab this, but looks like Jesus wants to grab it and play aggressive. But yeah, like I say, it goes down to experience of his now. He knows how he could play. He plays the positions perfectly. Only isolates it, so he only has 1v1, and EU Jesus flying with its overshield with a perfect kill.
You see Permission bottom base, and I like this from Here's Now, realizing his teammate is going to get the easiest kill of his life as he drops down, cleans that one up. He knows he doesn't have to put his life on the line, as he was also taken down to no shields, and that is some really heads up play from them. They know exactly what to do. The bait and switch is in full effect, and they're playing really good Halo.
Yeah, definitely. Maritone's actually really made a heads up play right there, and obviously they're down by 13 kills. But Maritone's didn't wait on the spawn. He didn't wait for his teammate to spawn. He got somewhere up on the map in a kind of sneaky position. He caught the players on late bloomers off guard and got a good first kill, and that's what you like to see. Like, even though he's down by so many kills, he's still making these aggressive plays. He's still making these, you know, quick plays to gain him, like, get his team back into the map. And you never know, a comeback could be here. Let's see how they play this.
We have seen Cartel do it in the past, so if Cartel can do it, anyone can, right?
Maybe I don't think that's the logic, but I'll go with it just for the just for the hype of it. But here we go. It's a good collapse here. I'd like to see someone, either Maritone's Permission, kind of hold off and wait, and you know, definitely isolate the spawn. Don't push too far out the map, and play aggressive on this, and let's see if they can get 2 kills again.
We will see another overshield in about 45 seconds or so as Maritones does get that kill. And this is the way Regret can play sometimes, Jim. You look so good. You've got player teams on spawn trap, and then what happens is you lose a couple of kills, and you see it happening to you in reverse. So it can very quickly get away from you as another 2 kills go in favor of the guys on Squadrenaline. This overshield is going to be big, and we're going to need to see the boys start to play some perfect Halo and really give up no easy deaths.
Yeah, and they were like I said before, they were getting 2 clean slays, and it was, it made it so much easier for them to kind of spawn trap. And then what actually happened is they made a collapse on red base. Then they only got the 1 kill, and I'm not sure which player it was on late bloomers, but he kind of stalled a lot. He ended up dying, but he stalled a lot, and it allowed his teammate to get up the map and kind of get in a position where Marathon's mission couldn't quite predict where he was, and that's what broke that kind of that pressure they had, that push they had. They had 2 clean slays rotated to red. And they didn't get 2 clean slays again. They only killed 1 player, and it took another 5 to 10 seconds to kill the second player, which allowed them to respawn, get back off the map, and get control and break that setup.
That overshield we talked about, that was going to be big. Unfortunately, it's gone the wrong way if you are a Squadrenaline fan, and now only 1 kill required from late bloomers to take a series lead. But Maritones get back wax Jesus, and that's the full overshield completely deleted. Control Alt Delete, Task Manager end task. No matter what you want to do, no more overshield to play with, but you still only have a kill to get and to achieve here as Maritones in a 1v1 with Jesus, and Jesus comes out top. Although Permission won his 1v1 elsewhere, 25 to 16, some body disrespect as well. Things are starting to get tasty.
I think that's deserved, though. He had the first 2 shots on the player and just couldn't finish off the kill, and that's, would have been a huge kill to maybe potentially getting back into that series, but that's some rough shots right there. But that was a really good series. I like that. It showed both teams showed signs of life right there. Obviously, here's to now and EU Jesus on late bloomers. Obviously, clutched up and got the win. Majority of the overshields, they were collapsing a lot quicker, getting these kills. So GG's to them right there. And it's good to see Maritone's Permission kind of have a bit of a show a sign of show a sign of play. But interesting to see Permissions, even though he had the least kills and actually he tied with his teammate, it was on the bottom of the scoreboard. He actually had the most damage in the lobby.
So, Jim, talk to me about that. You've just done the most damage. You said last week, I remember in a very similar situation, is that you can have pointless damage where you're shooting people, but you can never actually get the kill. Your team is not in position to get the cleanup. Is that what we've seen here with Permission, or is it just a case of being unlucky? And we've seen here so now almost he got that hard target medal, so he was the one taking all this damage.
Yeah, so it kind of goes both ways, Permission and Maritones mainly be pushing their 1-shots, but then also you can give credit to, like, here's to now exactly on the Car2 play where we mentioned he's obviously taking damage and he's positioned himself so he doesn't actually die, so it can kind of go both ways, and it's based on how the opponents actually survive or whether they, overcommit to a battle, but yeah, I feel like a common thing right there was Permission and Maritones not collapsing on their targets, not finishing off their kills. It's all good when they collapse, but if they don't get the kills, then it's kind of a pointless collapse, but it's good to see the high damage, though. That's one thing to take from it. It's good to see that he's getting high damage. He's putting a lot of, he's outputting a lot of damage on the map. They just need to make sure they get a bit more finesse on this pressure that they're pushing.
Now, Jim, if you're on the Squadrenaline team, you say, all right, listen, we lost that game convincingly as well. We lost a couple of pivotal 1v1, that one in the base, that for the final kill, things like that happening consistently. And with the here's to now isolating 2 players in a 1v2 and coming out on top, that stuff can't happen again. And if you head into truth, do you try and just wipe that last game, or do you try and learn from some of those mistakes that you made? Like you said, not collapsing in time or collapsing a little bit too soon at times. What is the recipe and the ingredients to success for game number 2?
Well, obviously, you need to remember what's happened in game 1. As much as yes, you did walk out of a loss, and there was a couple battles that you lost, which you don't want to lose. But you can also read, the game 1, you can kind of get the tempo of how your opponents are playing. You can learn your opponents, patterns and stuff like that, and learn to counter on the next map. Yes, it's a different map, but you can kind of see those habits and punish them for it. And like I say, it was game 1, right? Both these teams, this is their first series of the tournament. Even though it's around 2, they both had a bye, but they're both their first series of the tournament, so there could be, the early shakes because it's the start of the tournament. They could be still properly warming up and kind of getting that tournament mindset, which obviously you want to be before you get into the tournament, but sometimes that happens in your first early round. So, but yeah, they definitely need to look at what they did in round 1. The first map. Look at their opponent's habits and try and counter them.
Yeah, of course, we here would love a game 3, and Squadrenaline, of course, are capable of doing that. They were in touch and distance for a very long time, and definitely what you said on paper as before, Jim, is that you said late bloomers had the advantage, but you could see it going either way, and we did see it close in times there. So maybe truth is the map for them. Let's take a quick look at the best of 3 series layout and see what way and get confirmation of what way it all shook out. There is Slayer that's gone in. Slayer on regret gone into the favor of late bloomers, 25-16 to score. And up next going to be Slayer on truth. All Slayers, of course, throughout the entire tournament. No oddballs, thank God. No, you see, Great Red Shift hasn't gotten his hands on the game types here.
I would be curious to see how a CTF would play. I know on the previous Halos you would have CTF. I remember playing Halo 3 a lot. You'd have two flag. It kind of played it very differently. I mean, I personally liked it, but that was just more because I was a kind of casual player. But it'd be interesting. I'm assuming it's not good considering we've never ever played it in 2v2, but it'd be nice to have a bit of objective on doubles. Maybe something in the future we can try and look at. But yeah, Truth coming up. Again, only the camo and the tac mag on the map. Kind of similar to Regret in a way, except, it's a camo instead of an overshield. But it is a slightly bigger map, but the kind of the play style of Regret and Truth are kind of very similar. You make them spawn on a base and you collapse on it from both sides. So I'm looking forward to seeing him get it. I think Maritones, it looked like on that overshield, had a good route for the overshield off the start on Regret. So I'm looking forward to seeing how he plays this camo off the start. It seems like he's got good movement.
Of course, these teams, it's the last chance to get as many seeding points as you possibly can. So if you drop down now, you've only got one more chance, one more crack at it. And if you lose again, that is you out of the tournament. And will you have enough seeding points come the finals? These teams, Jim, 8th and 9th seeded. So someone's already on 9th on the bubble and won't make it.
Yeah, they definitely, if you win this series, it's going to put you in a great position going into it. Losing it goes down to losers bracket, and they need to make a huge losers bracket run. Maritones, like I say, grabbing that camo. He's fairly uncontested. He's getting shot in the back, but Permission's got a big kill on EG, just kind of give Maritones this freedom to walk over the camo, and what a great start for them.
Maritone secures the camo. Here's the now. Looked as though he was doing a little bit of a cheeky flank up around P2 as he almost baited his teammate into the death screen. Maritones did fall, or EU Jesus did fall, but at what cost? As camouflage gets picked up by the opposing team, and you're now down by 2 kills. So not a great start for late bloomers, but for Squadrenaline, this is as good as it gets.
It's definitely good. They need to do better though. Like so much of this time has been wasted. This camo, they should dip in there, get those 2 kills, and get out of there. This camo, 30 seconds of this camo has kind of just been wasted, kind of just waiting around the map, kind of waiting for something to happen again. So he really needs to do a lot more. And Maritones, although he's got great movement, I've seen them hit quite a few spring jumps so far. His shot seems kind of shaky. I think he's got the case of the body shots right now. He's making people one shot, but not getting his headshots. So definitely kind of shaky off the side. Needs to kind of flick that aim up a bit more, but it's still slow. Everyone's kind of at a standstill. It's strange to get this right at the start.
Do you have a case of the body shots? Please consult your GP and we get a prescription sorted ASAP, because that is something you don't want to be having on tournament day. But Jim, a mistake right off the bat there is they had camouflage, they had a 2v1, but they let EU Jesus get a kill when really he has no right to, and now we're seeing a 2v2 engagement for P2.
Yeah, it just goes to how slow they're playing it. Like, they're hesitant, they're not ready to go. You kind of just need that player to just be like, okay, I'm hitting this and I'm going through and I'm confident enough in my own ability that I'm going to walk away and win this battle. And Maritones, he just seems so slow, like he forgot he didn't have a camo, Like, he has camo, right? He's invisible. Okay, good opponents will see that camo and punish you for it. But if you're quick on it and you're quick and decisive on your decision, then it doesn't matter. You're still going to kill your opponent. So passiveness there, and like you said, it allowed EU Jesus to walk away with a kill in a situation when he really shouldn't have.
A little bit tentative, a little bit negative, and I think the issue is that sometimes, Jim, you can be forgiven for thinking, if you're still on the map and still alive, you haven't made any mistakes. But in actual fact, by playing so slow, by playing so passive, you're really just handing the advantage of the impetus to the opposition team. Yeah,
and it just makes his camo relevant right now, right? He's doing a very similar thing right now, and yes, he just got the camo and he's looking for the opponents as well, but he's making plays as if someone who hasn't got camo. He's just stood still in P2, facing out in the open. He's not making these sneaky kind of flanks. He's not pushing his. I like that thrust. That's really good thrust from him. Jukes out his 10 out right there, and I wanted to see him be aggressive. He's got about 15 seconds left of this camo. I want to see him get into the face of his opponent, push up in the blue window here, or push up the top mid. I recognize you have a camo instead of playing like you don't.
Jim normally charges 800 Microsoft points for these sorts of lessons. You're getting them here on Europa Halo for free. It's time to start utilizing them, as they've not lost another a couple of slays, and now within 1 kill are Squadrenaline, and that great start they had, those back-to-back camouflages, they've only given them 1 kill advantage up until this point, and that's got to be scary. You know, late bloomers haven't secured a single camouflage, and if they do, they might end up pressing home the advantage.
Yeah, I feel like if late bloomers actually grab this next camo, that they're gonna jump away with like a 4 to 5 kill lead. Cause I feel like they know how to play it. They will play it a lot more aggressive, and they'll make the most of the camo. Like I say, they'll actually use a camo like you have a camo, not use the camo like you don't have a camo. So we're looking forward to see that in the next 30 seconds or so coming up. But again, Maritime's permissions walked away with 2 kills right there when they're on the back foot, and now they're pressuring again. But like I say, they're playing it so passive. They're playing it slow. They're not pushing, which Maritimes finally pushes in and gets a kill, which looks like it's traded off by Jesus. And now we've got another 1v1.
And permission just not in sync with his teammate there. The timing was a little bit off, and that because of that, you don't get a couple of kills and you lose a kill. You end up trading out, and we're going to see him die as well here, a little bit too slow. And this is what we're saying, Jim, is that they're just not on the same page, not singing from the same hymn sheet, and pacing-wise, they're just a little off.
Yeah, and EU Jesus right now, I'd like to switch up to him so he just grabbed this camo. And this is what we were saying before. I feel like Jesus and his town late bloomers are going to be a lot more aggressive with the camo. They're going to do a lot more with this camo. Huge battle right there, nice, perfect. And watch how they're going to be aggressive on this. You have his to now on the car side of the map, and you have Jesus with the camo on P side. And I want to see him walk down the street, nice. Play it aggressive. Get in a position where they're not going to expect it, because they have to. On Squadrenaline, they have to play it passive because they know there's a camo player on the map. And look at this. I love this from you, Jesus. It's such an easy kill. He just uses that camo, gets 2 nades off, and just like that, a collapse came in. It's just, it's kind of simple Halo in the way, and they'll do the same again here. They'll wait for permissions, and they'll wait for Maritimes to spawn, and they'll push in. And Jesus will be the first point of contact, but then he'll back off and allow his to now to get any damage down. Which actually, I like that play from Maritimes. Pushed out, knew the camo was on the P side of the map, and pushed out, and got the kill on his to now.
We've seen that play in the bottom basin. It looks really good for Jesus, who gets that nade, and they end up getting a clean wipe. But on the other side of that as well, Jim, we have 2 players sitting bottom base, a camouflage on the map, and you really don't set yourself up for any kind of success. You're both going to sit down there, and there's nowhere on the map you can be but bottom base. So the enemy team knows exactly where you're going to be positioned. You really want to see them be a little bit more proactive and try and push things together. Either isolate that camouflage player, or isolate the player who hasn't got camouflage, because sitting down in that basement, it just invites that pressure on you.
Yeah, it goes, again, it's another thing that kind of goes both ways, where yes, the opponent's got camo, and you kind of want to double up with your teammate and not die, and find where that camo player is so you can push the opposite player. If you find that the camo player is hitting from the P side, then you want to pressure the opponent on the car side and kind of make that camo player relevant. So it wasn't the best way dropping down the basement. I like the idea behind it, but the execution wasn't quite there.
Permission now. No camouflage to play with for another few seconds. We will see an engagement over on this P side. Both members position P2. Not a bad spot to be when camouflage starts to pop, but unfortunately they are in a little bit of a bottleneck at the moment and inviting nades and pressure on them. With Jesus and here's to now getting down to this engagement. Unfortunately, the timing off for them, and they do concede camouflage pretty easily, it must be said. Permission camouflage in his chest, only down by a kill, and this one could be big.
It's funny that you can kind of see on the outlines that late bloomers look like they actually forgot the camo was coming up. You kind of see Jesus go back into blue and then thrust it backwards, like, oh crap, camo is coming up, I need to go test this. So, whether that's shakes or they're just too focused in on what they were doing right there, but that's kind of was a free camo. I'm interested to see permissions with this camo. We've seen Maritones, and I believe it was EU Jesus with the camo so far, so permissions with the camo. I'd like to see him be aggressive, be different from Maritones, which it looks like he's kind of being a bit slow again.
EU Jesus would have given that information up immediately. The 2 players were positioned over on car side. We're seeing another camouflage now just wither away and burn. Only 1 kill affected that entire time with that whole camouflage, Jim, and it's a tale as old as time in this series.
Yeah, just play too slow over. They don't do anything. Huge double kill from his to now, and even when there was a camo player, his to now walks away with 2 kills. Like, they really need to do more. I don't know if it's just they're playing scared or that's their play style. They prefer the passive play style, which is interesting because both Maritones and permissions I've seen spring jumping into windows, spring jumping on the bridges on regret, and it looks like they've put their time into the movement, but just general map play just is very, very slow. And I like the collapse here into his to now. They notice he's in a 1v2. His teammates can spawn across the map and they're collapsing, but the way they collapse is just not quite there. They're both going the same angle. There's collapse isn't really a collapse when you're both doing the same angle. It's more of a chase at that point.
Yeah, you're just pushing the enemy player to where you're not sitting, and because you don't have an alternative angle, you just give him an out immediately. He has a fire exit. He can get out whenever he wants to, and that's exactly what we've seen here to now do. Escape and evade the attentions out the window as they both pushed up towards the P side. Now they picked up a couple of kills, what should have been all in their hands. They now find themselves down by a couple of kills, and if they lose this game, they will drop down to the losers bracket. So all to play for here, and You don't want to drop down this early with the seeding points so close. Gonna see another camouflage up now. Jesus waiting there just patiently to pick it up, which he does, it seems. Maybe we should jump over there and see what he could do. This next camouflage, this what should be and could be the final camouflage, could be huge. Gets 1 kill, ahead by 3 now. Only needing 4 kills. We're seeing Squadrenaline start to back down permission down towards car 1. His teammate spawns towards the bubble. This is going to be big. This last engagement here could tell the tale of the rest of this series. Player down to no shields. His permission. He goes down. Here's to now. Gets a kill, but does go down to no shields and get taken down ultimately as well. No melee onto that, so he couldn't take that player down to no shields. And 23 kills to 20 now, as I'm stuttering and falling over my words. That's how exciting this is getting. 23 kills to 20. Only 2 kills required now if you are late bloomers, and this could be the win right here.
It's such a close kind of close engagement right there on the car side. There's camo play that didn't go well. I like the flank from there.
Nade.
Great nades from UGesus. I feel like UGesus have made some great plays right there. And I'd like to see the collapse right now. And I think we're seeing it from his to now on the collapse and maratones. He's stuck in a 1v2 and I tried to juke it and play aggressive, but he actually has ended up getting away from this move, and he's stalling right now. He's just waiting for his teammate to try and be able to help him, and I hope he doesn't commit too hard for a kill right here and gets chased. It's so the juke.
Oh,
just stay alive and let your teammate push. As if he's walked away from that. That's huge. We have a new camo coming in 30 seconds. They can either play this slow or they can straight away play aggressive and isolate. Which actually this is not going in their favor. It's managed to be a split spawn, so they need to kill Jesus quick because there's going to be a flank coming on right now.
Permission gets the kill, and we said Maratones needed his teammate to get there quick, and it looked as though he was never going to get there, but here's now gets that final kill up towards P2, 25 to 23, the final score on Truth, and we're going to see a 2-0 to Here's to Now and EU Jesus and the squad of late bloomers. What a game that was.
What a great game that was, and such a close series right there. Just small plays would have made that difference, but looking at the scoreboard, 3.2k damage from Here's to Now. Like that shows how close this game was, the amount of different battles we had going on. Nearly 50 kills in that lobby right there, so a huge amount of damage right there. To be fair, it was good damage across the board towards everyone. So what an overall great map that was.
Yeah, really impressive series from Here's to Now. We've seen him in the regret game almost carry that game on his own shoulders, getting that hard target medal, securing those overshields for his team as well. So a great series for Here's to Now, and if he can keep up with that momentum, they could be on for a really good run here.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think the last 2 weeks I saw that Here's to Now was in the tournament. I was kind of looking at that, his squad to get far, and sadly hasn't really performed too well. And the placement wise, obviously now 8th seed beating the 9th seed, so that's obviously a great result for him and his team. I've been expecting a bit more from him, and I was glad to see that. We got to see that a bit more. Like I said, I've said it a lot. He's very experienced. He's got probably a lot more experience than a lot of these opponents in this tournament. So I'm glad to see that. Pushing him through.
Now, in terms of Squadrenaline, Jim, they look good. Certainly in that last game, it could have gone either way, only losing by a couple of kills. So they were definitely, playing on the same level as that team. And maybe if they meet again, they can go one better. But let's look at that. They drop down to the losers bracket. They can ill afford any more losses. And with them already being 9th seed, that will ultimately mean they don't get an invite to the finals. So this is going to have to be a huge run for them in the losers bracket.
Yeah, they definitely got hope. They don't, they get a good bracket. There's going to be a couple teams, I believe, in round 2 that actually drop down, which could be hard opponents for them, if they run through the low bracket. But I think if they probably win 2 or 3 series in the lower bracket, they should secure their qualifications going into next week. But they really need to clutch up, like you say.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And that's going to do it for us for round number 2. When we come back, we're going to have some losers bracket action as we do lock in the best of 3 results and score lines. 25 to 16 late bloomers game 1 and 25 to 23 game 2. They punched their ticket to round 3, and of course Squadrenaline now dropped down to losers bracket. Like we say, can ill afford to lose another series. We'll be back very shortly. Grab yourself a brew. See you soon.